Breaking news, a new Investors Business Daily poll has Ben Carson leading the pack at 24% and Donald Trump in second, trailing behind Ben Carson with 17%. So, has Donald Trump peaked? Is he planning his own exit strategy? And if so, which GOP candidate would benefit from Donald Trump's departure? Well, we've got the A-team tonight. Joining me now, Steve Forbes, Forbes media chairman and editor-in-chief. We've got Jessica Tarlov, Democratic strategist and pollster. And here she comes, Tammy, Fox News political contributor. Let's take it to you, Steve. Who benefits if Donald Trump leaves?
All the other outsiders, the big two, obviously Carson and Fiorina.
Right.
And you're going to find Marco Rubio trying to get in there, saying I'm sort of an outsider. And you're going to try to have the governors come in and say, see, you got to go with somebody with experience. And that means Kasich and Christie.
Well, here's the thing, Jessica. At this time in the 2012 election, the race was starting to solidify toward Mitt Romney, and Mitt Romney was chosen in February. This feels like 1996 all over again. You know, back then it was, Buchanan, Colin Powell, they're even talking about George W. I think I should have asked Tammy about this too. I mean, so really, who do you think would be the lead GOP candidate if Donald Trump's exit?
Well, I agree with a lot of what Steve just said, and I think the outsiders will still be up there. But I would add into the mix that I think Jeb Bush could benefit from this. I mean, he had a bad couple of days with the stuff happens when there's a mass murder in Oregon, and I think that could hurt him just in terms of, how relatable he is and how he expresses himself. But I think Marco Rubio could really shine outside, out of the more establishment types. What Steve said about him being able to say, I'm a bit of an outsider, I think is good. But I think Ted Cruz will try to steal that thunder more as the outsider within the Senate.
Tammy, you're really a student of presidential elections, and as everybody else is here. And Dan Henniger had it right last Thursday. Usually, the base starts forming. You need 40% base. None of the candidates have the 40% base, because then you add on toward that 50%. Who do you think gets to 40 quickest?
Well,
without Donald Trump?
Yes. Speaking about without Trump and without Rand Paul, we already know that Ted Cruz is inheriting the Rand Paul support dynamic. He is going to be very well positioned to move up, because as people do peel away, then you see where the split is. The other thing that's good, I think, about if Trump goes out, the candidates are still going to have to convince those supporters. Look, this is a very hardcore support base that wants something completely different. It's going to be tough with Rubio, not as tough with Cruz. Fiorina may be appealing. It depends also if Donald Trump endorses someone or if he'll wait and pull back.
Well, that's an interesting. Steve, would Donald Trump, do you think, endorse anybody?
Not yet. I think he's going to want to be wooed and wooed hard after what he's
Who do you think is on his doorstep first if he exits, wooing him, trying to woo him?
Indirectly, Ted Cruz. He's gone out of his way to say, I'm really a friend of yours, Donald.
Good point.
Think of me if things go rough.
Well, that's interesting. So here's the thing. You're right. But here, Jessica, Bush has seen his support cut in half since July.
Yeah.
I mean, can he is he the comeback kid now?
I don't know. I mean, I always thought that, and I'm saying this as a liberal, that Jeb Bush would come out of this on top, because I thought that he covered more of the centrist ground, and that's why Kasich also appeals to me. I mean, these are both men who talk about unifying the country, and I know that these are touchy-feely words that liberals like, but I think that as the country moves towards being more independent and more moderate, when you get to the general election, that those messages will resonate more. So
here's the thing. Go ahead, Tammy.
Well, actually, in this poll, Kasich has got problems. Obviously, Jeb Bush does as well. And look at the margin of error. Carly Fiorina is right up there, but behind Trump, they're suddenly within the margin of error. That's a significant difference.
Here's also, we've got, Joe Biden still, the Hamlet of the Democratic Party, not deciding yet. And the deadlines are coming up in New Hampshire, in Texas, Florida. The ballot deadline is coming up pretty quickly, I think, by November. What do you think of a Joe Biden race coming in? Who within the GOP party could best take on Joe Biden if he steps in?
Any of the governors could do it. And, excuse me, and if Marco Rubio got the gravitas, he won't get the nomination unless he projects that gravitas, he could take Biden on. Biden, even though he's nice, people feel they can deal with him. He is part of this administration. And what the Republicans amazingly haven't done so far is slam Barack Obama the way you'd think, since the base really doesn't like this guy.
Yeah, not much about the economy coming out. Maybe if Mr. Trump steps out, you'd hear more of that, right, Steve?
Well, you'd hear more of something else that isn't Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy eats up airspace.
Right.
Part of the problem is the candidates haven't clearly had something to say.
Yeah, that's right.